Hey, welcome to Grace Online. My name's Josh. I'm the lead pastor of Grace Free Church. I'm pumped that you're on here, and I'm believing God's got something awesome for you right here, right now. I'm excited to see how He's going to use this service in your life. And I also want you to know that if you are part of Grace Online and our online location, you are a part of Grace Free Church. We're here to serve you. We have an amazing team that would love to serve you and your family in any way we can. If you're interested in learning more about Grace Free Church or the many programs we have to add value to your life and help you grow in your relationship with God, please don't hesitate to reach out. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, jump over to gracefreechurch.live to get the full Grace Free online experience. On this page, you're going to find links to learn more about the kids programming. We have an amazing online kids location. Just click the kids link and it'll take you to an absolutely incredible online experience for your kids. Don't forget to hit the connect link. The Connect link will allow you to kind of give us just a little bit of information about you so that you don't miss out on any of the really amazing things we have going on at Grace Free Church. Through that Connect link, it's the main way we communicate with you to let you know what's going on, changes in our ministry, new groups, exciting kids programs, fun things like our amazing Christmas Eve or Easter programs. You just want to be connected with us, so hit the connect button and don't miss out on anything. We're about to get started with our worship service, and there's going to be some singing. We'll have an incredible message for you following the singing and some really cool stuff to end up the service. I really hope you stick through this whole service. I'm believing God's got something amazing for you, and I'm excited you're here. Let's worship together.
Be in the water with a love that flows so deep. Wash over me, wash over me. Salvation in the water with a love that flows so deep. Wash over me, wash over me.
Battle, you see my victory. When all I see is the mountain, you see a mountain move. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? Yeah. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, created the heavens. Find me now, where the grace runs as deep as your scars. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, called me by your name, made my heart whole again. Lifted up, and my knees know it's all for your glory, that I might stand with more reasons to sing than to fear. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, called me by your name, made my heart whole again. So here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you loved my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace wants me now. And that grace owns the ground where the grave did, where all my shame remains, left for dead in your way. You crashed those angel gates, you left no stone unturned, stepped out of that grave, shouldered me all the way. So here I stand, I surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you loved my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace wants me now. Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now. Death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace wants that ground. And your grace wants me now. 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 There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up. You're coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. You're coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up. You're coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. You're coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up. You're coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. You're coming after me.
The title of today's message is called Because We Win. We're in this series where we're talking about resilient faith. And that's important. I think sometimes our struggle is not necessarily circumstantial struggle. It's not because we're going through something. Maybe it's because our faith isn't rooted in necessarily what it should be. And so as I was looking at this year and I was talking about maybe what we wanted to talk about, I thought, I want a resilient faith this next year. I don't know what God has for us in 2025. I guarantee you there will be exciting things and there will be challenging things. There will be big highs and there will be big lows. You're going to have to walk through some stuff and you're probably going to celebrate some stuff. Hopefully there's an Eagles Super Bowl win in there somewhere, but we don't know. I need a resilient faith for both the good and the bad. Last week we talked about how you can only have a resilient faith if you are built on the right foundation. We've been walking through Daniel, first 6 chapters through this series. And last week we were in Daniel, the beginning of the story in Daniel chapter 1 and Matthew, where Jesus says, what you build your house on is what makes your faith resilient. There are wise builders and there are foolish builders. And you can be a believer and still be a foolish builder. And you got to check it out last week if you want it. I don't have time to repreach it. Today, we're talking about because we win. That's part of why you can have a resilient faith. It's because we know if you are a person of faith, you believe in Jesus, and you belong to him this morning, we know that eventually, no matter what, we win. Now, it seems weird to me talking about winning this early in a series. Usually we wait till the end. We want to make sure the last whistle has blown. There's no flags on the field. Sorry about all the football references today. I've been watching a lot of it. We want to make sure the game is over before we start celebrating, because there's nothing like celebrating early and then being wrong and the game really wasn't over and the loss is still coming. There's nothing like it. But for us, our confidence is sealed. That's different. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about something different. I grew up in a culture where my family and very competitive, all the way back, very competitive family. Winning was a big deal, and if you weren't careful in my family, you got the idea. Well, you didn't just pick it up. It was said, winning is everything. Have you ever heard that? Winning is everything. I remember my grandfather watching us for a week. My parents were away, and my grandfather and grandmother were up watching us, and we loved my grandfather. We called him Poppy, and he was great with us as kids, and a very creative man, fun to be around, very strict though, and so I have to throw that out there because that'll help this make sense. But so you got some of you play hide the wine when certain people come over. Do you play that? No, we're not allowed to talk about that in church. Right? My grandfather, just making sure you're awake, man, because I wasn't feeling it. My grandfather was so conservative that, like, when we would go to the beach, our parents would be like, yo, don't break out the real playing cards, because somehow a real deck of playing cards to my grandfather he thought it meant something weird and it was evil and you can't play with those. If you pick up a deck of cards, you're going to become a gambler and ruin your life. That was I don't know if that was his mentality, but he was a strict man, but a lot of fun. And I remember he was watching me play a soccer game in high school, and it was a very physical game against a very good opponent, and it was a lot of banging around, and it got rough, and it was close, and we ended up losing at the end of this game. My very competitive but very conservative grandfather came up to me after the game, and I was a goalkeeper. I wasn't feeling great at the time, and it would have been nice to get some encouragement. Instead, he decided this was a moment where he needed to impart some wisdom on me. And so he got real close to me and he said, Josh, if you can't win fair, cheat and win. I gotta hide playing cards from this guy? Serious? A winning mentality when you're talking about a game can get you in a lot of trouble. It is not worth selling your integrity to win a game. And I want to make that really clear up front. Because what we're talking about when it comes to our faith and when it comes to life, winning is everything, but life is not a game. It's not a competition. And I just want you to, people feel different ways about winning. There are people who are just like, winning is everything and super competitive. And then there are people that just don't even care. And there are people that make losing just part of their culture and they're okay with it. And there are people that just expect to win and stop doing the things that got them there. We got a weird relationship with winning and competition. And you just need to know that when I'm talking about winning today, your life is not a game. But it is a battle. And some of you feel that. You feel that battle raging, maybe even right now. In John chapter 10, Jesus said there's a thief who has come to steal and kill and destroy. And this thief is our enemy, and our enemy does not like you. He doesn't want to see you here. He doesn't want to see you growing. He doesn't want to see you living a life for Jesus. He doesn't want to see you stepping into your purpose. He doesn't want to see your marriage make it. He doesn't want to see you move from unhealthy to healthy. He doesn't want to see you free from whatever mental struggles you're dealing with. The enemy has come and tries to usher into your life destruction and utter defeat. Life is not a game, but you're in a battle. Ephesians chapter 6, it just lays it out like so clearly. It says, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers and against the authorities and against the powers of this dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. I don't want that stuff to be true. But the struggle that you are facing in your life is deeper than just the surface stuff you think it is. Whether we want to ignore it or not, whether we think it's true or we don't think it's true, whether we think it's just sort of some sort of like exaggeration in spiritual terms or not, it doesn't matter. The reality of our lives is that you are in the middle of a battle, whether you want to be or not, and that battle is for your soul. And that battle is for your heart. But the good news is, Jesus said that while there's an enemy who only wants your destruction, I have come that you may have life and not just some regular, mundane, barely getting by kind of life. He said, I have come that you may have life and that you may have it to the full. Winning isn't everything when you're talking about a game. But it is everything when you're talking about this. There's a lot of lessons in Daniel chapter 1 about winning. I can't read the whole thing because we just don't have time. If you go check out last week's sermon, it's super important to this whole series. It's the foundation of the series. It's the foundation of your life. You can go catch it online. You'll see a guy with a terrible haircut just growing out. Why did you guys not tell me that looked so bad? Love speaks truth. Nobody ever said, dude, go see your barber. None of our staff ever said it. Daniel chapter 1, I got to give you the real quick, short version. I had a lot of coffee. Daniel chapter 1, the short version is like Daniel is in Jerusalem and the Babylonians have taken over. They've taken Jerusalem. Jerusalem has fallen and they've taken captives to serve in the Babylonian kingdom. And they've kind of taken what they thought were the best of the best to get trained, to be fed, to be built up. And then those guys are going to be serving in the king's court. Daniel is one of those guys with a couple of his buddies. Daniel, they had a guy appointed to them who was in charge of their training and their nutrition and their workout regimen and to teach them all the things. It was a master class in manipulation by the Babylonian emperor. It's just a master class, and rip them from their home, give them a new identity, name them something different, just throw all of the goodies on them, give them all the stuff. Here's all the steaks, here's all the wine, here's all the party stuff you want. Just trying to manipulate these guys and prepare them for service in the king's court. Daniel goes I'm not going to do it. He resolved in his heart. He knew that God had something better, and he knew that God showed him how to get there. And for Daniel in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew culture, that had a lot to do with what they were supposed to eat and what they weren't supposed to eat. And so Daniel says, I can't eat this stuff. I'm not going to do it. The guy freaks out. He liked Daniel, but he freaks out. He's like, okay, so I would love to let you eat vegetables this whole time, but I'm going to get in big trouble if I show you along with these other guys who are eating steak and you look like some scrawny little wimp and these guys are pretty jacked. The king's going to be pretty mad at me. And Daniel, he says, it says he resolved in verse 8 not to defile himself with the royal food and wine and asked the chief official for permission. And he said, I'm afraid the Lord the king who assigned me to you, why should he see you looking worse than the other young men? The king would have my head because of you. Then Daniel says to the guard who was appointed over them, please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food and treat your servants in accordance with what you see. So he agreed and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine, and they were to drink, and gave them vegetables and said, to these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and understanding, all kinds of literature and learning, and Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. At the end of the time set by the king to bring them into his servants, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service, and in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the other magicians and enchanters in the whole kingdom. And Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus. Daniel knew it was bigger than veggies and steak. That the fight he was in was not a dietary fight, but a spiritual one. You got to know that. Daniel also knew that winning for him was inevitable. That's the first. I got 6 things that we can take out of these verses I just read. And that's the first one. You can know. You want a resilient faith? You have to know that as a person of faith who has trusted Jesus with your heart, that the win is inevitable for you. He just has all kinds of swagger. He just walking into this situation with just extreme confidence. It says in 1 John chapter 5, for everyone who is born of God overcomes the world. But you're walking around defeated? This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. Who is it that overcomes the world? Only the one who believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Daniel knew who his God was, and so he knew that no matter what happened in this king, under this king in this foreign country, no matter what happens at work, no matter what happens in your marriage, no matter what happens in school this week as you're heading back to college, no matter what happens with that friend on Facebook who you feel like's talking trash about you, no matter what happens when that relationship you've invested the last 3 months of your life in and you thought he was the one or you thought she was the one, no matter what, should the world come crumbling down on you, no matter what the doctor says, for those who are in Christ Jesus, we overcome everything. And the win for you is inevitable. That's why we're talking about this up front instead of at the end. It's because some of you need your confidence back. You lost your swagger. You forgot who your God is. You forgot that you're his kid. His promises aren't ringing in your ear. All the lies are. And you have to know, you're not a loser. You're not defeated. You're not a failure. You are an overcomer. That's not fluff talk. That's what the Bible says your identity is. Need your confidence back? No, the second thing that I think is so powerful in this passage is to understand is that sometimes winning doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This didn't look like how they would draw it up. They don't get to this win the way we would draw up getting to this win. We'd be like, you need some protein powder to go with those vegetables. I got a pretty good shake, right? Like, let's throw some 45 plates on the end of this bar, you little weakling, and we're going to put some creatine in that water that you're drinking, because that's how you get to win like this. That's how we draw it. But the wins don't always make sense. They didn't make sense to the guards. If Daniel didn't understand what God had said for him to do, they wouldn't have made sense for Daniel. If you belong to Jesus but don't understand what God says for you to do, it won't make sense to you either. Our wins look different. I've seen people that on the outside have seemed to have suffered paralyzing defeats, and yet their hearts are filled with joy. I watched people I love walk through cancer and lose children. On the outside, there isn't a defeat that gets bigger than those kind of defeats, but yet still walk through that kind of grief with a lot of pain, but with victory in one of their hands. The wins don't make sense to the world, but when you understand God and what he says, and then all of a sudden, doesn't even matter if anybody else gets it or not. You just know that eventually you will experience the victory that has already been won for you. It's not about making yourself great. That's not how you get to this victory. It's not how you experience it. It's about making God greater. Here's the third thing. You got to give it time. Sometimes I have people they come into my office and they've been to church for 4 Sundays and they're like, bought a new Bible and they're all excited about it. That's great. That's a great place to start. But they'll come in and they'll be confused because things may have gotten worse over the last 4 weeks. Have you ever experienced that, right? Like you're inspired and you're like, God, I'm going to do your thing. I'm going to follow you. You even prayed it during the last 2 worship songs before you scooted out. Most days you scoot out during those. This day you stayed. And you had a moment with God, and then you go home and things get worse, right? And it's confusing. But we're not in this thing. What kind of game are you playing? This isn't a sprint. This life thing is a marathon. It's a journey with God. And the wins aren't always instant. It took time. Daniel knew his expectation was right. He knew I might not look better than them tomorrow, but I'll look better than them eventually. I might not be stronger than them this week, but give me a couple weeks and you'll see it. Don't give up right before your breakthrough. Don't quit following Jesus just because this week got hard. Stick. Stay. Give time to work inside you. And give time for God to work inside your circumstances. Here's the 4th thing. We win, but it also might cost you something. Now, Jesus paid all of it on the cross. But those steaks sure would have looked good day 8 after eating stinking broccoli for 7 days. I don't care how much you like vegetables. At some point, I'm like, I gotta bite into something that isn't steamed, right? Like, no, you disagree with me? And now I just offended all the vegetarians out there. I got no problem with that. I don't want to give up steak just to do the broccoli plan. You know? I don't want to give up. There are things that taste better than water. You fill in the blank. I'll take some Capri Suns, man. I steal them from my kids all the time. Yeah. But sometimes you got to give up what's good to get to what's greater. Maybe that's why you're stuck spiritually. I don't know. I just don't feel it anymore. I'm not getting anything out of it. Listen, that has nothing to do with the worship, the preaching, the books you stack on the table next to your bed. I forgot what the nightstand was called there for a minute. Maybe you're stuck spiritually because you are sacrificing the greater things God has for you because something feels good in a moment. Man, there's just so much more for you. The win has already been won. But you ever meet somebody that won and doesn't know it? You ever in an argument with somebody and you 5 minutes ago said, "You're right, sweetie." You're right. You win. You're right. But they keep going. And you're like, do they not know they won? There's a whole lot of Christians who walk around, they have won, but they don't know they won. They haven't experienced that they've won. And sometimes to experience what God has for you, the win, you got to give up what's good in the short term for what's greater in the long term. Daniel made some sacrifices. That's how much he believed. It'll cost you something. But ultimately, here's 5, and we're going to jump to 6 real fast. God supplies everything you need. God has supplied you with gifts. He supplied you with your talents. He will supply you with opportunities as you're following him. God is the one who supplies the winds. He is the source of everything. James says that every good and perfect spiritual gift comes from the Father in heaven. We think we've earned it. We've worked hard. I'm really smart. Look what I've built. But the entire time, it's been God giving me the opportunity. He gave me the brain. He gave me the giftedness. It's always been him. It's always been him. And now I know even when I fail on my end, it always was him. It always will be him. He'll usher in the victory I need to see. in my life. 1 John 4:4. So you are from God and have overcome them because, not because of you, because the one, do you know this verse? Some of you need to circle this verse, 1 John 4:4. Because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. John 16:33. In me, Jesus says, you will have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Here's the last thing you got to know. There is no win equal to this win I'm talking about. This isn't just win by a little. This wasn't just an overtime win. Romans 8 says we are more than conquerors. More than conquerors. You don't just win, you win big with Jesus. It's just not a little bit, it's a lot. The win is complete. And when it comes to what matters most, you will be undefeated. Because you are more than a conqueror through him who has loved you. So what do, right? Like, here's 3 things to do. Declare the truth of your victory. That's how you defeat the lies that are being spit at you. You have to declare truth. You got to remind the enemy that you already won. When you're ready to give up, you got to remind yourself that you are an overcomer, not because of how good you are or how much energy you have, but because of what he has done in you and will do through you. When you're sitting in that doctor's office getting that bad news, you got to remind yourself that it may take some time, but ultimately you're going to see victory. And if not on this earth, then when in the next one, right? Like, you have to remind yourself, declare the truth of the win to dispel and defeat the lies. Walk confidently in your faith. You don't got to eke through life. No matter what you face, no matter what they say, you can stand confidently before God and before the world. Carry some swagger into your circumstances. You're going to be all right. It may not be okay, but you are going to be all right. And the last thing is, how about a little pre-praise? We often celebrate at the end. You can start celebrating at the beginning. In fact, let's do it right now as I pray and the worship team comes up. God, we thank you that the victory is already yours. You've won it at the cross, through the empty tomb. And that grave stands open, sealing our victory. There's nothing in this life and nothing in death can steal it from us. Our victory is in you and through you, and you have given us all that we need, supplied us with everything so that we don't just have to wait till heaven to experience our victory. We can experience it right now in how you're working in our circumstances, no matter what we're going through. We are more than overcomers. We are more than conquerors through you and your love for us. I'm fired up, and maybe I should sound calmer with my tone, but I'm not trying to scare anybody. We just need to see that our faith is resilient because we already won. We already won. Would you just fill some people during these last 2 songs with confidence in who you are and what you're going to do in their circumstances? We thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, Grace family and friends. We are so glad you have joined us to worship at our online campus. I want to take a moment and talk a bit about why we as a church encourage giving. Did you know that giving is considered an act of worship? It's true. Paul addressed the Philippian church on this very thing. In Ephesians 4:18 through 19, Paul states, "I have received full payment and have more than enough. I am amply supplied now that I have received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent. They are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice, pleasing to God." Paul, of course, is referring to their offerings here. Paul continues, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." Paul used these gifts to further the mission of spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. And just like Paul, our mission at Grace Free Church is to share this good news throughout Schuylkill County. We want you to be a part of this mission as well. By partnering with us, we can reach the people of Schuylkill County. In fact, we can't do it without you. You may be thinking, how do I partner with Grace Free Church? Well, one way is through giving. We made this partnership process very simple. In fact, we have several methods to assist you in joining this mission. You can mail your gift to the church. You can text your gift to 570-528-2060, or you can give online by clicking the Give Online button on this page. The Give Online button also has a recurring giving option, which is a great way to schedule your gift giving. We appreciate you and are excited to see what God has in store for this church.
When the best of me is barely breathing, when I'm not somebody I believe in, hold on to me. When I miss the light the night has stolen, when I'm slamming all the doors you've opened, hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. When I am sure I have reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, hold me again. When I don't feel like I'm worth defending. When I'm tired of all my pretending. Hold on to me. When I start to break in desperation, underneath the weight of expectation, hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see you. When I am sure I have reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, hold me again. I can stand here in your arms forever, 'cause I know nobody loves me better. Hold on to me. Hold on to me.
the God who evermore will be. He opened the prison doors, he parted the raging seas. My God, he holds the victory. Yeah. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. We shout out your praise. We sing to the God who heals. We sing to the God who saves. We sing to the God who always makes a way. 'Cause he hung up on that cross and he rose up from that grave. My God, still rolling stones away. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. We were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We are forgiven, accepted, redeemed by his grace. Let the house of the Lord sing praise. 'Cause we were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We are forgiven, accepted, redeemed by his grace. Let the house of the Lord sing praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. And we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's